Precisely 1:15. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News edited by Romesh Piris and read by Sharifa Tahir. Headlines. The first ever state-funded sandalwood garden in Battaramulla to be vested in the public under the patronage of Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. The Speaker rejects an amendment proposed by the leader of the UNP to the no-confidence motion on Power and Energy Minister. The Cabinet approves to bring Muslim marriages, divorces under a common law. 2 areas released from isolation status effective from 6 a.m. today. Sri Lanka's coronavirus caseload is on the rise. The Minister of Environment issues directives to the CEA to implement the first phase to ban polythene bags from next January. In news overseas, the US blames China for hacking spree. Sports, cricket. The series is on the line as Sri Lanka face mighty India again at the Ketarama Stadium. Local news in detail now. The government is set to open the country's first ever state-funded sandalwood garden in Battaramulla. The recreational park named National Sandun Uyana will be vested in the public later today under the patronage of the Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. The garden was constructed near the Parliament complex adjacent to the Apegama premises. The UDA stated that while many gardens have been built under state sponsorship in the past, this is the first time a sandalwood garden is being built in that manner. The National Sandalwood Garden consists of 300 rare and valuable red sandalwood and 900 white sandalwood plants in a 9-acre land owned by the Urban Development Authority. The Speaker, Mahinda Yapa Abewardena, has rejected an amendment proposed by parliamentarian Ranil Wickramasinghe to the no-confidence motion on Power and Energy Minister Udayaga Mampila. The leader of the UNP party had proposed that the motion be amended to include the entire cabinet as opposed to just the subject minister. However, the Speaker today informed Parliament that the amendment cannot be accepted as it is not in line with the original motion, which is against the subject minister and not the entire cabinet. The Speaker said that the proposed amendment is out of order and cannot be accepted. The proposal to amend the Civil Procedure Code, which contains the marriage procedures for Muslim marriages and divorces to bring them under the common law governing marriage and divorce of citizens of Sri Lanka, was approved by the Cabinet. The proposal was taken into consideration at the weekly Cabinet meeting. The proposal was tabled by the Justice Minister. Accordingly, it has been imposed provisions by the 12th section of the Constitution that no citizen shall be discriminated against on the grounds of race, religion, language, caste, sex, political opinion, place of birth, or any such grounds. Therefore, under the common law governing the marriage and divorce of citizens of Sri Lanka, it has become appropriate to provide them with alternative opportunities to govern the marriage and divorce of people of the Muslim community as well. The head of National Operations Centre for COVID-19 outbreak, General Shavindra Silva, stated that the isolation orders on 2 rare areas, or rather 2 areas, have been lifted with effect from 6 a.m. today. The localities mentioned are no longer isolated. In the Kalutara district, Kalutara North Police Area, Kulavaskadua West Gramaniladari Division, and in the Kandy district, Katugastara Police Area, Sagaradeniya Vatta in Yatiwavala Gramaniladari Division. 1,487 individuals tested positive for COVID-19 yesterday, increasing Sri Lanka's virus caseload to 286,419. 1,464 among the group were identified as linked to the New Year cluster, while 23 individuals who arrived in the island from overseas also contracted the virus. 5,172 individuals recovered from COVID-19 and were discharged during the past 24 hours, raising total recoveries to 261,848. Meanwhile, the number of persons being treated for the coronavirus is currently at 20,792. 48 COVID-19 related deaths were also confirmed yesterday, increasing the virus death toll to 3,827. Meanwhile, 215,641 COVID-19 vaccine doses have been administered in the country yesterday. A Sri Lankan study has found that the Sinopharm vaccine appeared to produce high immunity against the coronavirus and induce a similar level of antibody response against Delta and Beta variants. The Sri Jawaharlal University Research Group found that the Sinopharm vaccine produces antibodies in 95% vaccinated people, while very good protection against Delta variant. The research team included scientist Professor Neelika Malavige, Dr. Chandima Jeevandra, and researchers of the University of Oxford, Professor Graham Ogg, Professor Alain Townsend. The funding for this study was provided by the World Health Organization, UK Medical Research Council, and Foreign and Commonwealth Office, and the Chinese Academy of Medical Sciences Innovation Fund for Medical Science. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation giving you the news.
A giant interest rate for your fixed deposit that you deposit this month. Call 0718 800 999.
Continuing with more stories here at home. Sri Lanka Customs, in yet another landmark initiative towards making the import and export process seamless, has partnered with Lanka Clear to introduce Lanka Sign digital signatures for online document submission. This was ceremonially launched under the patronage of State Minister of Finance Ajit Nawad Cabral at an event held at Sri Lanka Customs Auditorium. For the proposed system to work seamlessly, importers, exporter banks, clearing agents need to sign up online with Lanka Sign to obtain digital signatures. The system is currently connected to 14 banks in the country and facilitates approximately 15 billion rupees worth of transactions towards customs declarations for a month. During a special operation conducted in the northern waters of Tundamanaru Jaffna, a Sri Lankan Navy team has seized a stock of over 139 kilograms of Kerala cannabis. The Navy said the consignment was dumped at sea by the smugglers without being able to fetch them ashore due to naval operations in the area. The street value of the seized stock of Kerala cannabis is believed to be over 41 million rupees. The Navy has been fully watchful in conducting regular operations in island waters to thwart nefarious activities, including the smuggling of drugs by sea. The stock of Kerala cannabis was destroyed. The 100th birth anniversary of renowned public servant, the former Assistant Commissioner of the Archaeological Department, Kalapati Kabhushana Puravidya Chakravati S.M. Senaviratna, falls today. Cherished with born talents in an array of subjects such as art, painting, archaeology and architecture, he committed his life to protect the national heritage for over 50 years. He passed away in 2012 at the age of 91. The design of the state emblem, the 4 bow leaves of the national flag and the designing of the first golden fence around the Jayashree Mahabodhi sacred bow tree in Anuradhapura are amongst his many achievements. To celebrate the occasion, a book launched titled Ape Janaraja Gamana, compiled by his son Dr. Indrajit Senaviratna, was held at the National Archives today. That's local news.
Now, get your EPF loan information and service details via SMS from HDFC Bank. Wherever you are, being a state and private sector employee, to obtain EPF loan information and service details, just send a SMS mentioning EPF space, name and region to 0718 800 999. HDFC Bank, the bank for your home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The Minister of Environment, Mahinda Amaravira, has issued directives to the Central Environmental Authority to implement the first phase of the decision to ban polythene bags from next January. According to the program carried out by the Ministry of Environment to reduce the use of polythene and plastic, it was proposed to ban the use of shopping bags. The first phase will be implemented from 2022 January, and accordingly, plans are in place to ban all shopping bags with a width of 10 inches, depth of 5 inches, and height of 16 inches or less.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
On Watchlight, the Education Minister G.L. Piri said the closing date for accepting the applications from children to Grade 1 for the year 2022 has been extended until August 7th. Earlier, the closing date for accepting Grade 1 admission was on the 31st of July. The Education Ministry issued the Grade 1 admission application on May 30th, and the specimen application could be downloaded from the official website www.moe.gov.lk of the Ministry. That came to you on Watchlight. Moving on to world news headlines. The U.S. blames China for hacking spree. Pedro Castillo declared president-elect of Peru. The Hajj pilgrimage reaches climax amid pandemic. World news in detail. The U.S. government officials have accused China of a global campaign of cyber attacks. Secretary of State Antony Blinken issued a statement that blamed Beijing for what he called irresponsible, disruptive and destabilizing behavior. Government analysts in a report said the Chinese intelligence agency instructed hackers to carry out attacks on the U.S. and its allies. They said the groups targeted firms that use an email service from Microsoft. The hackers used ransomware to obtain confidential information and extort victims for millions of dollars. Pedro Castillo has been declared president-elect of Peru weeks after winning the popular vote in a tightly contested runoff election. The country's election authority announced its verdict after reviewing claims of electoral fraud by his right-wing rival Keiko Fujimori. Mr. Castillo, a 51-year-old former school teacher and union leader, secured just over 50% of the votes. He will now be sworn in as Peru's president on the 28th of July. Finally, on world news, the annual Hajj pilgrimage has reached its climax in Saudi Arabia, with number of pilgrims limited again due to the coronavirus pandemic. Pilgrims were seen praying while maintaining distance from one another. The pilgrimage, which began on Sunday this year, usually draws more than 2 million people from around the world. But the pandemic prompted authorities to limit the total to 60,000 this year. That's on world news.
Development News is brought to you by
Quality matters than price. So as an engineer, I recommend Melba RB500. It's made with virgin billets using the latest technology. Melba RB500, #1 in Sri Lanka. Truly Sri Lankan.
A proposal to construct a luxury tourist resort under the water villas concept in Kalpitia has been approved by the cabinet ministers. The government said that some countries engaged in tourism have introduced the water villas concept to attract top-level international tourists in the global tourism trade. As per a proposal submitted by the Minister of Tourism, Prasanna Ranatunga, it has been pointed out that the water tourist residences and water villas concept can be utilized in Kalpitia and other coastal areas. 12 islets in the Kalpitia area have already been acquired by the Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority to upgrade tourism in Kalpitia by promoting the islet resort concept.
Development News was brought to you by
Quality matters than price. So as an engineer, I recommend Melba RB500. It's made with virgin billets using the latest technology. Melba RB500, #1 in Sri Lanka. Truly Sri Lankan.
Sports cricket. After a resounding 7-wicket win in the first ODI against Sri Lanka, India will be hoping to wrap up the series today. The first game of the 3-match ODI series turned out to be a walk in the park for the new-look Shikhar Dhawan-led Indian team, registering a 7-wicket win with more than 13 overs to spare. The visitors will be confident about replicating their performance in the second game. Dasun Shanagha, captaining Sri Lanka for the first time in this series, will be looking for a better performance from the bowlers in the hope of forcing the series to a decider. The match will get underway at the R. Premadasa Stadium today at 3 p.m. In the meantime, on Tokyo 2020, 2 out of the 9 athletes who will be representing Sri Lanka in the upcoming Tokyo Olympic Games 2020 are from the Sri Lanka Air Force. The Sri Lanka Air Force said the Corporal Chamara Dharmavardhana and Corporal Nimali Lianarachi are to participate in judo and in the 800 meters, respectively.
Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply. Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Leading textile manufacturer Haley's Fabric further reduced its carbon footprint by 15% with the installation of the largest private sector rooftop solar power system in Sri Lanka, contributing 6,241,500 kilowatts of power per annum to the national grid. Installed by a sister company Haley's Fentons, the rooftop solar project was set up at Haley's Fabric's primary manufacturing facility in Horina and is part of a broader campaign to reduce carbon emissions and align with the UN Sustainable Development Goals.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money. Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Savings account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
Economic news, courtesy of...
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
As per the latest statistics released by the Sri Lanka Customs, the export sector performance has been able to maintain its upward trend in June 2021, with exports increasing by 9.41% to $978.2 million compared to June 2020. This upward trend was evident year on year for the last 4 months. Sri Lanka's merchandise exports in the first half of the year 2021 was $5,561.72 million, an increase of 27.49% over $4,362.34 million in first half of the year 2020.
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
Weather report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
The Meteorological Department forecasts several spells of showers will occur in the Sabaragamu and Central Provinces and in God and Mathura districts. A few showers will occur in the Western Province. Mainly fair weather will prevail elsewhere over the island. Furthermore, the Met Department predicts fairly strong gusty winds up to 40 to 50 kilometers across the island and gusty winds up to 60 kilometers per hour in the western slope of the Central Hills, North Central and Northwestern Provinces and in the Hambantota and Trincomalee districts.
Weather report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
Back to the headlines. The first ever state-funded Sandalwood Garden in Battaramula to be vested in the public under the patronage of Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. The Speaker rejects an amendment proposed by the leader of the UNP to the no-confidence motion on Power and Energy Minister. The Cabinet approves to bring Muslim marriages, divorces under a common law. 2 areas released from isolation status effective from 6 a.m. today. Sri Lanka's coronavirus caseload is on the rise. The Minister of Environment issues directives to the CEA to implement the first phase to ban polythene bags from next January. News overseas, the US blames China for hacking spree. Sports news, the series is on the line as Sri Lanka face mighty India again at the Kettarama Stadium. With that, we conclude this bulletin of news.